Hello and welcome to part 3 of my analysis of 30 cents any percent Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic speedrun in 47 minutes. Previously, we witnessed him move very quickly through both the Endar Spire, Terrace, Dantooine, and Manan. Here, we are going to be looking at his work on Korriban, Tatooine, and the Leviathan. So here we left off. He had just finished the map CS Skip for Korriban, and he is making his way through Dresde. So here, there's a lot of conversations in Korriban. Significantly less than there was before, but a lot here. He is actually going to buffer Shardan, which is slightly controversial because he does have an alignment boost. So he's opting to not use the alignment change until after Leviathan and Kashyyyk. Here he does a level up that many people actually do on Manan, but he put it off till here. And he used Persuade to get past the Port Authority. I'm kind of stumbling over myself because so much happens at the same time. But yeah, he used Persuade and the Port Authority to get past there, and then buffered both Shardan and the Lusho encounters. And he's heading straight out to the pass between Dresde and the Sith Academy. There he is going to talk to a Sith soldier who's guarding the Academy. This conversation, he's going to demand entrance, and because the guard is not going to allow him, it will spawn Yuthura. Something else that just happened there. You notice he quit the game and then reloaded this. This is his first reset of the run. Everybody will reset their game usually once or twice, sometimes even 3 times or more during their any percent runs because of the overuse of the quick save feature. In this game, when you play it a lot, save, quick save, auto save, any of those sorts of saving features increase the memory allocation for this game because of a memory leak in the game's design. So, in order to prevent the memory leak from causing a game crash further down the road, the runners will actually previously routed in. Recently, it's been kind of, just random because of the frequent route changes. We will intentionally quit the game in order to clear these memory leaks and continue moving through the game. So he does just that. He quickly loads it back into the game, and he's going to progress over to the Sith soldier like I described. Some people will attempt to do save teleports in this part of the game. They are barely worth it. You see he does a couple there, and he only clears a small amount of distance. And so yeah, here he's trying to do a few more. But especially when you have speed active like he does, it just doesn't really get you anywhere. Other runners are bigger proponents of this, like Chaos Drifter will tell you to save teleport everywhere. On the flip side of the coin, Indy Kenobi will tell you that you just don't bother in the slightest. Here, he fumbles slightly with the conversation of Yuthura, which is another big time save he can have, but he eventually does get invited to the Sith Academy, does a force skip, which is similar to a soft buffer, and then does some rudimentary teleports over to the Valley of Dark Lords. Out he goes. Here he's actually doing the older strat, where upon exiting to the Valley of Dark Lords, Calo Nord would be waiting for him. And we always used to do a return to Ebon Hawk and transit back like he's doing here, which effectively skips the fight. However, we have found that it is slightly faster to do a hard buffer there instead. We previously didn't do that because that would lock the door behind us, but because of recent innovations, including Fastlane, this is no longer an issue. So this is a slight optimization that 30 could put in his run right here. So yeah, he runs past Calo, and he's going to make his way out into the Valley of Dark Lords. Of the Dark Lords, I suppose. He actually gets the force jump to the Chirac. That is another quite difficult one to pull off, and not a lot of runners will try for that. So he really is showing his skill at this game, which, very accurately reflects the 2100 attempts that he is displaying in the upper left corner of the game. Not to mention his experience with some of the other categories of this game. So he makes his way directly for the Tomb of Naga Sadow, foregoing the entire storyline and sequence of this planet and going straight for the location of the star map. So he, instead of using a fast lane save, he just sets up the trick before entering by pulling the return to Ebon Hawk menu from outside to the inside of the tomb. And here, he clips right through the door, and Juhani is ready to go. Now that he's in the tomb, he's going to be at slightly larger save teleports because the save file size has increased. Here, he soft buffers in, which teleports the main character, grabs the Solari crystal, which is why we've been banking up some light side points earlier in the run, and he's heading straight for the cold grenade. And here he actually thought about swapping to a party member to get the quick move over to the section to use the grenade, but unfortunately neither party member was in a good location, which is partially RNG, however could be remedied with some better party management. Also, he double checked that he got the Solari crystal, likely from nerves. So those are other two small optimizations you can see in this run. Either way, he gets to the lake quite quickly, and he pauses for a moment to cast Force Speed, which is a little bit of a time waste, but more so just bad luck on his duration timings there. Yeah, he enters the conversation, fast lanes out, which is all you need to get the star map, and immediately leaves the planet. And here he's going to make his way straight over to Tatooine. But first, he's actually going to do a manipulation. So, the variable manipulation is a complicated trick that I crafted a while back, and there's quite a bit that goes into it. But to summarize, whenever you're exiting the Leviathan, the game puts you into a fighter encounter, and when the fighter encounter is completed, it makes several checks to determine what to do after that fighter encounter. There's a certain skip we want to do in the Leviathan, which will skip the entire Malik fight, Revan reveal, and sequence at the end of the Leviathan. However, if we skip that, we do not have the necessary conditions to conclude that fighter encounter, and so we'll softlock there. So, what we're doing here is we're opting to obtain some other conditions to conclude that fighter encounter. So, by transiting between previously visited planets, we have a chance of getting a fighter encounter. It's a 50-50 chance. And if you are able to return to Ebon Hawk from the inside of those fighter encounters without concluding them, your global variable K random minigain will be set to true. So, come the Leviathan, when we're in that fighter encounter, the game will think that we are still in a minigame from a random encounter going between planets. And upon the conclusion of the fighter encounter, will opt to spit us out back on the Ebon Hawk at our destination planet, which is perfect because not only does it allow us to skip the Malik section at the end of Leviathan, but also it skips some in-between cutscenes before we would end up going to Kashyyyk. So, in all, it ends up being a great skip, and all you have to do to set it up is get a fighter encounter, AMG into it, and get out of it, which you'll see him do right here. So, he gets the first cutscene out of the way by transiting to Manon. Since he did that, he still is able to transit there a second time. He gets the fighter encounter immediately, which is good RNG, returns to the Ebon Hawk, which spins him on Manon, and now he can safely transit to his destination planet of Tatooine with the variable manipulation in place, only losing a small bit of time on this split. And here he is in place. Immediately he gets moving. The save teleports here are great in this new route because of how late in the game this is. He soft buffers past that alien to avoid getting Giska on his ship, and he's going to save teleport over to the Zerka office to get the necessary plot flags. He has a bit of a fumble with the save teleport there, losing about a second or two, but that works out fine. Mashes through the conversation, and he gets a move on. So here, he's going to rely on the save teleports even more for movement on Tatooine, which is the whole purpose of this new route, because there's a lot of walking on Tatooine, and we're able to get a lot of it out of the way with these save teleports. And yeah, he heads right over to Gate Guard Billin, and because of the conversation he had with Discount Lorso, I like to call her, he's able to get out to the Dune Sea. There, he almost had a fumble by casting Force Speed, but he double casted it so it wasn't active. And also, he skipping the first woman. There, he's able to save teleport clean across the Dune Sea in quick succession. and he spins around and goes straight in. This is a newer strat. Previously, we would take a party member with us into the Dune Sea because of the trick that is coming up, the Crate Dragon skip. However, the Crate Dragon skip, under the use of new glitches, has recently been redeveloped by Indy Kenobi to where we can do it with a single person now. And we'll see him execute this in just a moment after teleporting across the Dune Sea and resetting his game. He does another reset here because of the importance of not crashing in this area with all the quick saves that he's just done, which was really pushing the game to his limits. So, he does more quick saves to teleport over towards the cave, and he's going to get a lot of distance here very quickly. It's quite nice compared to the old route where we had Korra and Caliber save teleports. So he lines up here. He casts Force Speed, which is actually important for this section because you need to be able to move quickly during the cutscene. Activates an AMG, and he's going to trigger the Crate Dragon cutscene. As soon as it's triggered, he cancels and begins mashing Flourish Weapon while moving. And he's going to run just past the Crate Dragon and let the Crate Dragon walk past him before using a Force Power. The Force Power cancels the cutscene and puts the Crate Dragon on the other side of him. Now he can loot the Twi'lek Corpse and the Rubble Pile for the Opala Crystal, the Nerve Amplifier Belt, among some other items and objects that are very important for the remainder of the run. And he's going to progress over to the star map, and just like before, use a fast lane to both skip the star map cutscene and simultaneously exit this area. So he does just that, and concludes Tatooine very quickly. Since he used a force skip on that guy initially, he ended up getting an extra conversation, which is another short waste of time right there, which is very unfortunate. He's doing the strange thing of doing save teleports on the Ebonhawk, which you don't see a whole lot of at all. Nevertheless, he immediately transits to Kashyyyk, but since we're being captured by the Leviathan in this plot, he gets the Leviathan cutscene, which he smartly AMGs into, and does another free look AMG, like the ones we did earlier. This free look, again, breaks the camera sequence and skips into the last line of dialogue for this cutscene. Here, he's preparing to do yet another trick for Leviathan. As the game loads in, he clicks up there and adds Karth to his party, and then hits tab 3 times. This causes Karth to begin speaking, but he's in a different location because Karth has been added to our party. And it will let us keep Karth in our party for the Leviathan, as we'll see right here. Goes in, he's going to do a long hard buffer because this has a big fade in. He actually gets away with 2 quick saves, which I would never do. That's very scary stuff. You see in the bottom left corner that Karth is in his party. Here, he does an AMG to skip the conversation, thanking Canderous, of all people, for letting him out because of the sequence break we did there. By the way, that door he unlocked relied on us having the security flu from earlier in the game. So, by skipping that, Karth is the only person in our party, yet we're able to continue through the Leviathan. So, this reduces us down to just having Karth and not having to worry about Bastila's movement during this section, which is really, really nice, especially when it comes to having party members follow you. There he equips up with a Nerve Amplifier Belt, which is going to prevent him from being stunned, the Strength Gauntlets, which are going to make him hit harder, the Sith Armor, because it's functionally equivalent to Jedi Knight robes, and it looks really funny, among other things. There, he goes for a very uncommon force jump, which is the diagonal jump towards that guy. And it takes him 3 tries to get it, but he does end up pulling it off and saving some time. He could save more time, theoretically. Also, he gets the soft buffer, skipping the Canderous calm conversation there. Immediately here, he's going to solo mode, put Karth in the corner, head through the door, and for whatever reason, he and Chaos always head down this way, and I never quite understood this direction. It seems slower in my mind. I usually cut through the center area, as do Glasnock and several others, but this is what they do. And nevertheless, it still saves much time over the default alternative. He's going to do a Gip Warp, which is normal. Hope Karth doesn't get stunned. Pull through the door, and stick Karth in a corner. Karth did not get stunned, which was fortunate for him. So, ready to go. He's going to do another force jump here. That one's a bit more common, but still difficult. And he makes his way, but save teleporting up to the bridge. Here he's going to do Sol Skip. He actually makes a safety save beforehand. Good for him, honestly, because not a lot of people do that. It's kind of considered more of a noob strat to make a safety save there, though he's not taking any chances of this run. And he gets lucky and he's able to Gip Warp out with Karf there, saving a good chunk of time. Not a lot of people are able to get that trick to work because it's very RNG dependent. And so here he's doing a quick save, quick load to ensure that Karth follows. And this is where he starts to have some trouble. He actually decides to load the autosave because he does not want to have a combat section there, because that can be detrimental to this coming area. So he tries again with another quick save, quick load, and Karf again attacks, which I'm sure is just causing 30 to kick himself. Nevertheless, he just goes for it, save teleporting Karth out of the range, and he's going to swap over and take control of both party members. And here, it's just all party management. Though somehow, to his fortune, Karth is actually following him. And floating, apparently. Yeah, I forgot this was a thing that happened. That was a bug. A funny bug. You always discover bugs are the strangest parts of KotOR runs. Things you've never seen before. Nevertheless, he's able to drag Karth just barely along and get to the elevator. So crisis averted there. He could definitely have a cleaner Leviathan for sure, so there is a good chunk of seconds that could be saved on this run. Either way, he skips the other Kandar's conversation, and he's going to make his way over to the Malik skip. He does another unusual force jump there. That's one you see almost nobody do. Hardly saves any time, and bears quite a bit of risk. Here, he hard buffers through past Malik, and he is going to head through this door, and he's going to have to do another hard buffer for this door right here in order to prevent the Malik fight from triggering from that moment, because there's two nodes that can trigger the Malik fight because there's two phases of it. Again, one final impossible door to unlock using that security flue from earlier, and we're off to the fighter encounter. And the fighter encounter is an acquired skill. Here we see 30 get the 3 fighter setup, which isn't ideal. The ideal would be a 1 fighter setup, which is godly, and most people pull off the 2 fighter setup. Though he picks it up just fine and actually snipes them off in the distance, which isn't easy to pull off, though he does lose some time here on that split, putting him back to about only an 8-second lead on his 48-minute PB. And that, with one final reset, he's going to finally reload the game and progress on to Kashyyyk, which is where this video will conclude. Yeah, so be sure to tune in next time for the next part, part 4 of this section, which will include Kashyyyk, Lahan, and Starforge in the 4th and final portion of my analysis of 30 cents world record 47-minute run. Thank you for watching.